What's up, everybody? It's K Ponce. Gonna be doing a traditional draft, Throne of Eldraine here on Arena. And what have we got? Our rare is Castle Embereth. It's a fine card in any red deck, really. It's usually gonna come into play untapped if you're playing red, and it's just upside, so it's pretty good. But I wouldn't consider first picking it if there's anything worthwhile in the uncommon slot or any good commons, really. I mean, it's good, but it's not like, it's definitely not a first pick in most situations. We got Beanstalk Giant, which I like a lot. It's a ramp and a payoff spell, so pretty powerful. The games in Throne of Eldraine tend to go a little bit longer, so this is pretty good. This is I like this better than Castle. We've also got Giant Opportunity, which is good if you're like very heavy on food synergies. It's okay otherwise. It's probably not going to make your deck if you don't really have anything else going on with food. Elite Headhunter. It's the black-red hybrid creature. 4 mana menace 2/3. 3 mana hybrid red-black. Sack another creature. Artifact. It deals 2 damage to target creature. Planeswalker. So it's solid. Certainly not where I want to start a draft, though. That heavy into red/black. The commons are all pretty whatever. Nothing to write home about here. Fairy Guide Mother is pretty good as far as commons go, and then Smitten Swordmaster is pretty good. The rest of them are all kind of filler. We're just going to go with Beanstalk Giant here over the Castle Embereth, which is what I would take after that in this pack. And this is our second pack here, pick number 2. We're gonna when you're drafting a green card, pack 1 pick 1, especially this green card, you can splash some things, so we can end up like playing maybe green black and splash Lockmere Serpent. We could play green white and splash a Garrick, something like that. So we are able to open Bomby Bombs and play them potentially if we end up drafting like a couple eggs, a golden egg that is, which helps us to fix a little bit more, and Beanstalk Giant. But here we've got Archon of Absolution, pretty good rate, 4 mana 3/2 flyer per white, with sort of like a ghostly prison effect. Otherwise we've got not a ton else in this pack. The green cards are very weak. Marrowleaf Rider you're going to play in some of your green decks, and Rosethorn Halberd maybe you're going to play in some green decks, but certainly very weak. We can't really stay on green here. It looks like white card is our best card, the Archon of Absolution here. So yeah, we're just going to take that. I like to take the best card in the pack for the first few picks. And Archon was head and shoulders above everything else in that pack. Here we've got Flutterfox, which is quite good on rate. It's 2 mana for basically a 2/2 flyer. Especially if you're playing green as your other color, or even black, and you can make food pretty easily. So 2 mana 2/2 flyer, quite good. But there's a Rosethorn Acolyte in the pack, and we're already trying to do Beanstalk Giant, maybe splash multiple colors. So Rosethorn Acolyte is a really solid pickup. It's one of the few mana creatures in the set, and it also fixes mana just as like a filter. Even if it's just in your hand, you don't even need it in play to fix your mana. So it's pretty great. Clockwork Servant's also a solid 3-drop, especially if you can end up in a monocolor deck. But it's not like we're looking to do that at this point in the draft. And the rest of this pack is pretty medium anyway. So we're just going to grab this Rosethorn Acolyte pretty easily here. Alright, so pick number 4. We're looking at a Joust, which is a decent removal spell if we end up in red. It's not great. Obviously, you'd prefer to be night heavy with this card, but it's good in a green-red deck also, because you're just going to have big things that you can fight for 2 mana. It's not a great rate, but it does the job. It kills stuff. Otherwise, we've got Fairy Guide Mother, which goes pretty well with what we've got going on so far, giving the Beanstalk Giant flying, pretty powerful. And we got Prized Griffin, which is just a pretty good rate. 5 mana, 3/4 flyer. Blocks all the other flyers in the format pretty easy, and just that body is pretty good. But 5-drops are pretty easy to come by in this format, so I'm not too keen on that one. I'm leaning towards Fairy Guide Mother here. Lost Legion is also one of the better commons in this pack, but it's double black, and at this point, our green and our white cards are pretty good, and so I'm leaning a little bit more into white. I like 2 mana flying +2/+1, and then after that, 1 mana 1/1 flyer. It's not a great rate, but if we end up with any payoffs for adventure cards, this becomes a very playable, if not good, card in our deck. Whereas Prized Griffin, I do think the 5-drops are more replaceable, but I do think it's one of the better 5-drops. So it's kind of close between these two. I'm going to go with Fairy Guide Mother, hoping for some adventure payoffs, though. And here's an adventure payoff already. We've got Garen Brigg Squire. It's not the best adventure payoff. Youthful Knight is pretty powerful as well. 2 mana, 2/1 First Strike. First Strike is pretty good in this format, but 2/1 body is medium depending on your matchup. And then Silver Flame Ritual is a pretty good, like, Overrun-esque effect. I actually think I'm just going to grab Garen Brigg Squire here. I like the 2-drops. I like 2-drops that become 3/3s on a lot of our turns. So I'm just going to go with this solid 2-drop here. Well, that's a late Okame Adversary. And yeah, we're definitely going to take that. Outflank is pretty good. But this guy, I mean, it's a 4-mana creature that's definitely going to trade with whatever they're doing. And then also, if they just happen to be a green deck, it's only 2 mana to cast this. It's just a really good card. You main deck it, but against green decks, it becomes one of the best cards in your deck. A 2 mana, 2/3 with Death Touch that draws a card when it deals damage to them. Thank you very much. Outflank is a solid removal spell. I wouldn't mind picking a couple of those up before the end of this draft, but we're going to go with Okame Adversary here. Another Youthful Knight, a Curious Pair, and a Garen Brigg Carver, all of which are pretty good for our deck. Right now we're looking a bit more aggressive than not. So I think it's between Garen Brigg Carver and Youthful Knight. Again, Youthful Knight is good, but I think better if you're playing a bunch of knights. The best card in this pack is actually Into the Story, but we're pretty far away from blue at this point. We're just going to take Garen Brigg Carver. It looks like we're going to be green-white adventures at this point. Ginger Brute is pretty good as far as getting in damage and also being an artifact for our potential 2 mana 2/2 Fox. I don't remember what the name of it is. Or we could take a Gingerbread Cabin, which is going to make us some food. Right now we don't really have any food synergies. And I think maybe just getting in there with Ginger Brute might be better. Gingerbread Cabin is sort of free if we're going to be heavy green anyway, but it's not completely free, and I think I'm just going to take this 1 mana 1/1. I've been pretty impressed with how much damage this card gets in, and with things like Fairy Guide Mother to get you through, to get more damage in. We can end up being like fairly aggressive actually with this deck. I also really like Fairy Guide Mother in tandem with Okame Adversary to be able to get some damage in and draw a card. And yeah, having a Ginger Brute to just deal damage each turn. I think I'm going to go with Fairy Guide Mother here over Giant Opportunity. Again, I think we're going to try and just be more aggressive green-white and try to be a little bit lower to the ground and not really try to grind. And so in doing so, I think Fairy Guide Mother, just the flying and +2/+1 are going to be a really big deal. Alright, so Cauldron Familiar is kind of great with Witch's Oven specifically. If you don't have the Witch's Oven, the card isn't that great. It's okay if you have a lot of ways to make food, but generally the gaining 3 life off the food is better than draining your opponent for 1. So, it depends. Rosemount Halberd on a Fairy Guide Mother is pretty powerful, actually. Just turn 2 having a 3/2 flyer, or just throwing a Halberd on our Ginger Brute and getting him for 3 each turn. It's a little bit cheesy, but +2/+1 on a permanent effect like that is definitely nothing to scoff at. It gets the job done. So we're going to take this Rosethorn Halberd, since we're looking like an aggressive green-white deck that has a lot of ways to get extra damage in. Prophet of the Peak is not perfect in our deck, obviously, but it's a good curve topper that scries us a little bit, gets us into our removal or whatever it is that we needed at that point in the game. Maybe just more big dudes. And sure, we'll take a Jousting Dummy as a curve filler. And then Reaper of the Night going this late is kind of funny. We could potentially board that in. Wolf's Quarry, I don't think we're going to play it. I think it's one of the worst green commons, but it's certainly something we could play, maybe out of the sideboard. So we're already trying to be green-white adventures, and we opened a Giant Killer. This card is pretty fantastic in Limited. I play it in Modern right now as a tutor target for Ranger Captain of Eos in my Death and Taxes deck. So it's pretty good. We're going to definitely take that. Pretty happy to open an on-color rare here that fits into our deck very, very well. Other notables in the pack for us would be Garenbrig Squire, Garenbrig Carver, and Archon of Absolution. I wouldn't mind picking up another one of those. And but yeah, hopefully we can wield one of those 3 cards. Very unlikely that we'll wield the Absolution, but kind of likely that we'll get one of these back. So that's kind of good. And we're just going to grab this Giant Killer. Not close. Return of the Wildspeaker and Wandermare. What a pack here. So Return of the Wildspeaker. Non-human creatures get +3/+3 until end of turn, or draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control. Right now, we do have like Prophet of the Peak. It's a 5/5 Beanstalk Giant. Would be at least a 7/7 when we can cast it. Maybe at least a 6/6 if we have Rosethorn Acolyte. But otherwise, it's going to maybe draw us 3 cards. We do have a lot of humans. So, I mean, this is a powerful card. And it's instant speed. Obviously can win the game because it just pumps your whole team occasionally. But let's look at Wandermare real quick. We've got a 3-mana 3/3. Whenever you cast a creature spell that has Adventure, put a +1/+1 counter on Wandermare. Right now, let's just take a look at our creature spells with Adventure. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 already. So Wandermare is going to be very good in our deck. If you look at our 3-drop slot here, we've only got 1 other card. We're probably not playing this Jousting Dummy, but we might. It's a curve filler if we need it. So it's pretty interesting. There's even Ardenvale Tactician I'd be really happy to pick up here, but obviously not going to take that over either Wandermare or Return of the Wildspeaker. So currently we have 1 human, 2 humans, 3. Yeah, we have 3 humans. Which isn't too bad. When we take this, if we take this, we're going to prioritize non-humans, which also kind of puts us away from wanting adventures a little bit, because a lot of the humans benefit off adventures. That's not true of all the adventure benefits, like this card particularly. So it's close, actually, between Return of the Wildspeaker and Wandermare here. If I didn't think anybody else in this draft was playing green-white, I would take the Return of the Wildspeaker and try to wheel the Wandermare. But I think Wandermare is just so good for our archetype here just is going to be like a 5/5 6/6 as early as turn 4 or 5, which is pretty great out of a 3 mana investment. And it's always going to be able to keep attacking, which is a pretty big deal. This is a great finisher / card draw engine, so pretty powerful. But currently in our deck, it's kind of only going to be great if we already have a bunch of things in play. Obviously, in the long games where we're kind of just butting heads with our opponent and not really being able to break through, this is going to break us through. But I think this is just going to put us so far ahead in the mid game that I'm going to take Wandermare here. I might get a little flack from this from those of you watching and not taking this rare that is definitely often a bomb, and taking this uncommon over it. But I do think this is what I want for my curve right now and for the deck. But I think that one was pretty close. This pack, on the other hand, after seeing a pack with 4 cards we really wanted, this pack has pretty much 0 cards we want. We do have Rosethorn Acolyte and Beanstalk Giant to maybe splash a color, which I wouldn't hate doing, but none of these cards are like super splashable. The best card in the pack is Sirkara, double red. I'm not going to try and splash a double red card. Reeve's Soul is probably the second best card in the pack, and that is splashable. I don't know if it's worth splashing because it's killing generally a flyer that you can't deal with. We do have a decent amount of flyers already to be able to maybe double block whatever they have. Silverflame Ritual, though, I think is what I'm going to take. It is kind of a decent replacement for the Wild Speaker card that we didn't take in the last pack. And again, Giant Opportunity is fine if you're trying to go late and do food synergy things, but we're not really trying to do that. We're kind of trying to just beat our opponent down, and Silverflame Ritual does do that. Not a card I really want to take super early in a pack like this, but definitely a decent pickup. All right, so we're already trying to be the adventure deck. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 adventures still. And Lucky Clover lets us double all our adventures. I think we're just going to take Lucky Clover. I've been pretty impressed with this card out of other decks that I've played against. It's been really powerful. And if you basically just use it once, it already got its use back out of it being kind of a do-nothing 2-mana artifact. So you play it on turn 2, and then if you use it as early as turn 3 with like Beanstalk Giant and you get 2 lands, you already got paid for playing this. So if you use it again, it's just pure value. So this card's very good. And we already have 6, and we can just prioritize those very highly at this point with Wandermare and Lucky Clover. But Outflank is also a good card, and we don't have any removal currently besides Giant Killer. So something to think about is that we do need to pick up removal at some point. But we're going to take Lucky Clover here. And all right, so we've got Hypnotic Sprite. Unfortunately, a pretty hard adventure card to splash because it's double blue for the regular body. Otherwise, I'd be pretty interested in trying to. The Mesmeric Glare half is a pretty powerful effect and only costs 1 blue. If the creature body only costs 2 and a blue or 1 and a blue or something, I'd be much more interested in trying to splash that. As it stands, though, Righteousness is an okay way to block something that's big and imposing. So I don't hate Righteousness, but it's very situational as it's only blocking creature. So not the best. And then Ginger Brute is good with our Rosethorn Halberd. Also pretty good at just getting damage in. I'm not really that interested in any of the other cards in this pack, so I think we just want to kind of try to cheese people out with some Ginger Brutes. Revenge of Ravens is a card we could potentially splash, but Lonesome Unicorn is an adventure card. On turn 3, if we make 2/2/2 white knight creatures, it's very good. And then if we ever cast it as a creature, it puts a counter on Wandermare. So we're just going to take Lonesome Unicorn. It's not the best adventure card. It's definitely low on the power level as far as that goes. But we actually don't have any 5-drops at the moment. And splashing Revenge of Ravens would be reasonable, but I want to just get as much value off our Lucky Clover and our Wandermare as we can. Flutterfox, there we go. So Flutterfox really works really well with our 2 Ginger Brutes and our Lucky Clover and potentially our Jousting Dummy that we may or may not play in our final build here. But yeah, 2 mana 2/2 flyer. Don't really need to say anything more than that. It's not always flying, but we're playing a decent amount of artifacts already and might end up with more. Alright, we got another Lonesome Unicorn, which goes really well with our our Lucky Clover and our Wandermare. Again, not super happy to pick this up. It's not like a bomb common or anything, but if it's 3 mana for 2/2/2s, it's very powerful. So we're going to take that to go with our Lucky Clover. And we wield Garenbrig Carver, which I'm also happy to pick up here. If I get to do +4/+4 to +2/+2 to 2 different things for 2 mana, it's quite good. Garenbrig Squire, also pretty good in our deck. But I think I'd rather just keep taking the adventure cards rather than the 2 mana 2/2 payoff. Although, if we want every turn 2 to either play a Lucky Clover or a Garenbrig, that could be pretty powerful. Carver isn't like one of the better payoffs or not payoffs, but adventure cards out of green. It's definitely a solid giant growth effect because it also comes with a 3/2 body. It's not a good rate on either end, obviously, and most of the adventure cards are not. But yeah, maybe we just want this 2 mana 2/2, and we'll get some better adventures in the last pack. We got another 2 mana 2/2, or we can take another Ginger Brute. I think 2 Ginger Brutes is going to be enough. I think I'm ready to just go full ham on the Squires. And yeah, we'll take a Reeve Soul. We potentially could splash it and board it in if our opponent has a pesky creature with power 3 or less. None of these cards are useful. It's a curve filler if we really need it. Again, not playing Wolf's Quarry. And pack 3, here we go. We got Ardenvale Tactician, which is definitely what I'm looking at right now. Our deck is pretty aggressive, and we don't have much removal. So a card like Ardenvale Tactician is perfect. It taps 2 creatures, and then it's a 2/3 flyer. If we have Lucky Clover, it taps 4 creatures, which is pretty sweet. It's also just going to pump our Garenbrig Squire immediately on turn 3. It also plays really well with Wandermare, obviously. So yeah, it's just perfect for our deck. It's not a bomb, but it's just a really solid pickup in the first pick of our pack 3 here. Obviously, I have to pass on Torbran. Powerful card if you're playing a lot of red, but not good if you're not really heavy red, obviously. And then Silverflame Squire we would play. I'd be pretty happy to pick up one of these before the end of the draft. And Outmuscle we'd also play. So some other playables, True Love's Kiss, I'd be happy to pick up. But we're going to take Ardenvale Tactician over all of those. And in this pack, we're kind of whiffing. I don't hate taking a Garenbrig Squire here, and that's what we're going to do. But we're really heavy on the Squires. And we could definitely use some more payoffs, and we don't really need a 4th one of these, but none of the other cards in this pack are doing anything for us. I don't think Shining Armor is very good, and we don't have that many knights. Alright, so there's a 2 Unveiled Tree Folk. Pretty good with Lucky Clover. pretty good with Wandermare. Just kind of a big beefy thing. We can have it replace our Prophet of the Peak if we'd like, or we could take Silverflame Squire. But we're so heavy on 2s right now that I think I'd rather have something a little higher in the curve, and we can replace our Prophet of the Peak with this. I definitely like this better than Prophet of the Peak in our deck. Castle Garenbrig, Fierce Witchstalker, Garenbrig Paladin. Alright, this is a pretty good pack for us. 3 good cards. Castle Garenbrig is going to allow us to cast Toonveil Treefolk on turn 5, Beanstalk Giant on turn 6, potentially even turn 5 with Rosethorn Acolyte. And it's pretty free, so it does allow us to add a lot of mana. Right now we don't really have any way to abuse that as far as repeatable use, activated abilities from any of our creatures, because the cool thing about Castle is you add 6, you can use it to cast creature spells or activate abilities of creatures, but there aren't any of those that we can really abuse other than like giving Gingerbrute haste a bunch or activate Giant Killer, but we don't need 6 mana for that, so not terribly useful in our deck. And Fierce Witchstalker is just a really good 4-drop. 4/4 trample makes a food, just a great rate. Leaning towards that over Paladin and Garenbrig at the moment, since we're probably not playing Prophet of the Peak. And out of this list, we're probably not main decking Jousting Dummy at this point. Yeah, I think we want to take a Fierce Witchstalker. It also makes a food, which synergizes with Flutterfox, as that'll become flying if we make a food, in case we don't have a Gingerbrute or a Lucky Clover yet. And here we've got Youthful Knight, Crashing Drawbridge, Tall as a Beanstalk. This is a pretty bad pack for us, honestly. It's got nothing we're going to play. We might board in Youthful Knight, though, against decks that have a lot of X2s that the 2/1 First Strike Body would be very good against. So I'm going to take that for the sideboard. And here we've got either another Lonesome Unicorn, which I don't hate, or Silverflame Squire, which the untap ability is pretty nice on that, but the fact that it's 3 mana to do that makes me kind of like Lonesome Unicorn a little bit better. Also, Lonesome Unicorn, one of the better payoffs for Lucky Clover, honestly. Just like 2 bodies is really good on turn 3. And if we have 3 of these with the Lucky Clover, a lot of our games we're going to be able to Lucky Clover into a Lonesome Unicorn Rider in Need adventure. So that's going to put us way ahead in the early game, and going to be pretty difficult for our opponent to catch up to. So I'm going to go ahead and take another Lonesome Unicorn here. And then we did end up with access to Silverflame Squire if we want it. I still think we don't want it, though. I'm actually going to take Sporecap Spider. Not going to main deck it, but we're going to board it in against decks with a lot of flyers, I think. Card does hold up the ground really well, but now that I'm thinking about it, we actually have a lot of flyers, so we shouldn't have to worry about opposing flyers too much. Maybe I will take Silverflame, and we can see what we need to cut at the end here. I really like having access to some sort of artifact enchantment removal, and this is probably our last chance at any. So this is an interesting pick, because Outmuscle is a removal spell that we're kind of deeply in need of right now. We're already too heavy on cards, so we're going to have to cut a few things already. I suppose we don't have to main deck the Oakham Adversary at this point. So if we're playing Ritual, probably not going to be in the main deck. Yeah, all these other things will be, though. Squire might not make the main deck. Halberd is not that good, but it is very good on a Gingerbrute. It also turns on our Flutterfox. Also, it very good on the Flutterfox. Yeah, you put a Halberd on a Flutterfox and you have a 4/3 flyer, which is very powerful. So I think we want to keep the Halberd in. I suppose we don't have to play all the Lonesome Unicorns, or we could just not main deck the Okame Adversary. It's just this card is pretty good. We could just board it in against green decks, though. Alright, so we already have a 40-card deck, and I think I just want a sideboard card in Return to Nature. Because, yeah, we don't have a ton of removal, but I don't think we need a ton of removal. We're going really wide on our opponent and going to be able to close the game out on the ground with Gingerbrute or in the air with like Flutterfox and Tactician and Absolution. So I am going to actually take the Disenchant. And it turns out we were going to get another Disenchant, and I kind of wish that I took the Outmuscle there. Kind of a bummer. I forgot that there's a True Love's Kiss in the next pack after that. It's really good to remember where the Disenchant or any effect that you're potentially trying to wheel were in the pack order. I thought maybe that we already saw the pack with True Love's Kiss, and I was wrong. Now we have 2 Disenchants, which isn't the worst. Wow, that was a really late Golden Egg. And we have Idyllic Grange. Putting a counter on a thing is okay, but having 3 planes is not going to be the easiest thing to get. And we're very aggressive with this build, so we really don't want to have a tapped land. So I'm just going to take Golden Egg. Oops. And we have another shot at Giant Opportunity, it seems. Yeah, Beloved Princess, not going to make our deck. Sure, we'll take that. We might board it in at some point. Alright, not playing any of these cards. Sure, we'll take that for standard, maybe. Alright, so it looks like we have our deck. Yeah, 9 Forest, 8 Plains. I feel like there's going to be a decent amount of times when we're going to want to cast Fairy Guidemother on turn 1. Maybe not. Maybe we're just casting Gingerbrute on turn 1. Yeah, this is a pretty solid build. You can see we're not playing one of our most powerful cards, an Okame Adversary, just to make room for our other adventure cards. But with Fairy Guidemothers, I do think Okame is pretty great. Just having a card advantage engine that can get in there with like Tactician tapping our opponent's creatures, Giant Killer killing or tapping our opponent's creatures, and then Fairy Guidemother giving it evasion. Definitely seems pretty solid. But, I mean, a 4-mana 2/3 isn't a great rate if they're not playing green. So, I think I'm going to stick with my guns here and just run it like this. I'm not sure about 8 Plains, 9 Forest. We have, let's see what the breakdown is. We have 10 white cards, 11 green cards. And we do really want to play Garenbrig Squire on turn 2. That's pretty important. We also do have Ardenvale Tactician, though, that we definitely want to cast on turn 3 sometimes. So it's pretty close between green and white here, who gets the ninth source. But I guess because our green is our fixing, we should probably have green as the slightly heavier ratio. So yeah, I'm going to agree with the auto land adder here and play 9/8 in favor of, oops. So I like to take a picture of my deck before I jump into a league, but we were highlighted on a card there, so I couldn't see the cards. That's the deck. Done. Let's run it into a match. All right, welcome to round 1 here. This is our opening hand. It looks great. I'm definitely going to keep it. This is my first time playing green-white adventures in Draft. I've played green-black quite a few times. And green-red a couple times as well, mostly with an adventure theme. Adventures are just really good in Draft. It's just inherent 2-for-1s. They're not quite as good as 2-for-1s because both sides are generally a little bit overcosted, but still just really powerful to do slightly overcosted things twice in Draft. Opponent mulliganing to 5 and then Witching Well on turn 1. A little worried that our opponent might be on a like streamlined mill deck where they just needed to mulligan, digging for their Lucky Clover or just playset of Merfolk Secret Keepers. We have the combo here with the Halberd and the Ginger Brute, so we're going to be able to put a hurt on our opponent pretty quickly. So they're blue-black. I don't really want to go all in on any one creature here. When our opponent's playing blue-black, they're guaranteed to have a ton of bounce and removal. So going deep on anything here when it's not mana efficient to do so just isn't something I'm interested in. Our opponent did mull to 5, so we might want to like capitalize on that. But in this case, I think just getting in there for 3 and then playing another 2/2 is going to be just good enough. We're just curving right out, which an opponent on a mull to 5 is going to have a very difficult time dealing with. All our creatures are different creature types, which actually is important because there's a removal spell for creatures of the same type. There's a rare black removal spell. I think it's called Witches something or other. Yeah, I know it really narrows it down, but I don't remember what it's called exactly. And it's -3/-3 to all creatures of chosen type. So we're not going to be blown out by that. And here, I think we're just going to swing and then play Garen Brigg Squire, potentially pumping something if they try and do something. Bake into a pie. Yeah, I think I'm going to respond to that by doing this on our Vigilant creature just to get in some more damage. Just want to push a little bit more damage here while our opponent is very low on cards and clearly in a desperate situation, baking into a pie our 2/2. And next turn we get to play a 3/3 Vigilance, plus it pumps our 2/2 into a 3/3, and they're in a very bad spot here. Our aggressive green-white deck is doing just what it's supposed to do, and just beating down every turn. Our opponent drawing 3 cards. I didn't actually check to see if we had lethal with the Halberd and the Carver. Looks like it would have been 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So not quite lethal anyway. Glad that we didn't do it. But I didn't actually do the math before I just played the Unicorn. If you have lethal, you should probably make sure and kill your opponent when you have the chance. Unless you just don't want to show them a good card that's like a good combat trick or something. When they're already super far behind. But our opponent at 4 life here, it's going to be hard, even with like some crazy bomb, for them to come back. Yeah, and then they can gain 3 life. Looks like their plan here. Put this on the Ginger Brute. It's actually the only creature we can put it on. Because I believe this is a human. Or maybe it's not. It's just a knight. I guess you can put a halberd on the knight. That's interesting. It's not a human knight. It's just a knight. White knight creature. Interesting. That's pretty funny that it's just a knight. It's not a human knight. Okay. That's good to know, actually. I didn't think of that. Alright, so we're sideboarding here against a blue-black control deck. They're playing a lot of artifacts that I'd actually like to blow up. And Return to Nature also exiles a card from a graveyard, which can be useful. True Love's Kiss, 4 mana, destroy an artifact or enchantment. It's definitely not as good. Also, don't really know what I want to cut for the Return to Nature. I think it might be the halberd. Since they're blue-black, it's going to be pretty unlikely that this will actually connect more than once. So yeah, +2/+1 one time is kind of good, but yeah, just it's with the 5 equip cost, it's not going to be very useful in the later game until way later in the game, and at that point we might be too far behind for it to do much. So I think bringing in Return to Nature over True Love's Kiss makes sense. Just being mana efficient, I think, might be good. And other than that, I think that's good. I think our main deck idea is seems pretty powerful against what they're doing. They're playing a lot of expensive removal spells. And it seems like killing their Heraldic Banner or any other artifact that they're trying to get value off of will probably be pretty powerful. We saw at least 2 artifacts we wouldn't mind blowing up. I wouldn't be surprised if they have some more, maybe some Charmed Sleeps. That's the 3 mana blue enchantment that taps a creature when it enters play and keeps it tapped indefinitely. If they are in fact playing Charmed Sleep, we might also want to board in the 2/1 that has Adventure, 3 mana, untap, +2/+2. This hand is very medium. We have just like 2/2 into 4/4. It's not bad though, and we're playing limited and we're up a game. We obviously have much better draws than this, but turn 3 2/2, turn 4 4/4, or turn 4 4/4 is not that bad. This is 2 bodies that is actually pretty hard for their deck to deal with, as it seems their deck is playing a decent amount of removal that's trying to 1-for-1 us. So it's not a great hand, but it's going to be a keep for me here. And we ended up finding a Ginger Brute to be able to deal probably 5 or 6 damage in the next 5 turns. And another Ginger Brute. Those are some pretty good draws so far. This is why I kind of like Ginger Brute. You may have thought it was kind of strange when I picked it fairly early in the first pack, I think. I don't think it's an amazing card by any means. I think it's fine. But the evasion is pretty good, and just on turn 1, it's a pretty good card. And then in the late game, it still gains you 3 life, even if it does nothing else. So it's a good way to get in for the last couple points of damage in the late game as well. And yeah, it's just it's not that bad. But yeah, we're gonna get in there for 2 again. What do they name here? Black. Okay. Obviously gonna make a white knight here. So Operation Aggro is working out for us so far. And they're just going to go ahead and spend their turn killing our 2/2 knight. That feels like a win as far as the trades go. Feels really good. We're going to play this 4/4 trample that they also have to deal with. Makes a food. Just this is one of the better green commons. It's got to be 4 mana 4/4 trample. Also makes a food. All of it's free. It doesn't like. There's just no downside to this card. Just great stats for a common. Alright, Covetous Urge. Opponent on the do nothing plan, which, I mean, they're going to be able to cast both halves of this, I suppose. They have 8 mana and they have 5/6. Yeah, no, they're going to have a lot of trouble dealing with these Ginger Brutes. At 7 life, they're just going to scoop. So, Covetous Urge is a powerful card, but you have to be ahead on board for that to be a good effect. You don't really want to be tapping out when you're behind on board. At least not this far behind on board. If you're like reasonably evenly matched on the board state, then Covetous Urge can be very powerful. But yeah, like as you saw there, Ginger Brute did a lot of work. Got a little bit lucky to draw 2 Ginger Brutes after keeping a hand that didn't start playing till turn 3. But we do have a very low curve, so it was pretty likely that we were going to draw something to do before turn 3 on the draw there. Obviously got a little bit lucky. Easy win in round 1. I'll be right back for round 2. Hey, how's it going? Welcome to round 2. Here with our green-white adventure deck. We've got an opener with a 2-drop into a 3-drop into Halberd, which can go on our Wandermare. We probably won't want to put it on Wandermare, and then Lonesome Unicorn to trigger both of these creatures, which is going to be great. We're definitely going to keep this hand. Solid curve, 3 mana already, and we even got the combo of Flutterfox and Rosethorn Halberd, which is just a pretty sick combo. We'll have to decide whether or not we want to go for that. Charming Prince. Look at our opponent scrying a bit here. I'm playing this in my modern decks right now. Love that card. So this is interesting. I have to assume that next turn we're going to want to play Wandermare. But Flutterfox plus Rosethorn Halberd is just so powerful. If our opponent doesn't have a removal spell, the game's over in 5 turns. No blocks here. 2/1 Death Touch. Alright. I think here we're just going to put the Halberd. They missed their land drop, it looks like. And we're going to play the Squire rather than play the Wandermare. We can't cast this as a non-story yet anyway. And we're just going to race them. We can trade with Squire or not. Either way, in a pretty good position here. I think we should trade with Commander. Alright, 4/4 that has to attack every turn. We just have to keep making blockers, it seems like. So here probably just going to chump block with the Vigilant 2/2, keep attacking. Could even trade with the Prince, just take 4. Maybe that's a better line. They did draw their 4th land now, though, so we could be in for a baked into the pie. Acclaimed Contender. Enters the battlefield. You control another knight. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. Reveal a knight. Ooh, they can drain us here. That's pretty powerful. We're going to Beanstalk Giant. Get a land. We have 3 forests. Let's get a Plains. Play the Wandermare. Attack. So, our opponent does have a Smitten Swordmaster in play, or in their hand, which is going to gain them 2 and drain us 2. Just drain us 2. Which means we're effectively both at 10 here, and they're about to hit us for 4, because we're not blocking the Oathsworn Knight with the Wandermare, I don't think. We do have a Pump Spell in our hand, and technically 2 more Pump Spells for our Wandermare. So if they swing both, we could potentially just kill them. No, they're going to drain right now. I think we're going to block the Acclaimed Contender. Just try to get some tradesies going. Alright. So we can't quite cast our giant dude, which I would like to do. The problem with casting the giant dude is we would just be dead if they had an answer to it. So I think actually what we're going to do is cast Squire and then cast Carver just as 3/2. So we have blockers. Keep getting in. Ooh. Oh, we're dead. Alright, well, they got us. Yeah, I mean, we made 2 blockers, which was the best we could do there to try and prevent removal from getting us, and they had an Ardenvale Tactician, which that's why this card's pretty good. It's basically double Doomblade on the right board. Tapping 2 things is pretty powerful as long as you can set up a situation for that to be good. So our opponent's on a very aggressive Black-White Knights deck. Does not look like the right build for Adversary, although I guess Death Touch might be okay. Not so much against their 4/4. Didn't think they were going to be able to get us there. They obviously got Xaxes, so it just worked out very well for them with their mana usage and everything working out there. Like, they were able to drain and play their 2/1 and then also use Ardenvale Tactician all in the same turn because they drew their 5th land that turn. They missed their 3rd land drop on turn 3 and then just drew 3 lands in a row, unlocking their entire hand and enabling them to Xaxes us, which is obviously going to happen sometimes. But do we want to do anything different going into game 2? I think on the play we're favored. They just yeah, we'll just have to remember they have Ardenvale Tactician, and we're going to try to push through before they can. I guess Silver Flame Squire might be okay, like untapping and making a block when they don't think we can, especially after they Ardenvale. But I don't know what I'm cutting for it, so I think I'm just going to run it back. I think this all looks fine. Alright, so here's game 2. We're down a game here against Black-White Knights. We're going to play first. And we're going to keep this hand. It's pretty good. We do need to draw a couple lands at some point, but we're going to get into beats in the early game. And things are looking pretty strong for us here. opponent mulliganed to 5 as well. Ginger Brute. There's a really scared person inside the house. Like, what happened with that thing? Alright, we drew land, which is pretty sweet. I'm just gonna attack here. Play a 2/2. Pass a turn. This is not the best payoff for our adventures, but we do have a lot of them. What? Hushbringer, huh? Interesting. That's pretty good. Makes our fairy guide mother very bad here. I guess we're just gonna give this you can't blocks me and attack and play another Garenbrig Squire. Just keep the pressure on. Hushbringer, pretty annoying actually, because we have all these enter the battlefield triggers. Oh no, this is cast. Never mind, this is just cast. Alright, so we're fine here. Yeah, I think we just play Witch Doctor. Oh, I don't get a food. Alright, that's fine. So we could just block with Ginger Brute here, make it a 3/3, and then it's not that bad. We can just block it with the Witch Doctor. But what could they play post-combat that we care about? Probably not that much. Tempted to just block with Ginger Brute though, since we're likely to tap most of our mana next turn. Yeah, no blocks. Go to 14, they'll go up to 17. Oathsworn Knight and Hushbringer. They've only played rares this game. Hushbringer happens to be pretty good against us, but Garenbrig Squire is actually a cast trigger, and then there's the battlefield trigger. Alright, 4/2. This is interesting. I want to play Wandermare and then pump it with Fairy Guide Mother right now. Or alternatively, we could... The fact that they can give this lifelink, though, is a pretty big problem. And indestructible. This is a pretty bad situation for us, actually. Yeah, I think we just play this. Oh wait, is this enters the battlefield? No, this is also cast. Okay. Good, good, good. Trigger, 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 trigger. I think we're going to chump with the Ginger Brute next turn. So they can use their whole turn to just give this lifelink and gain 4. And we're not going to block this, if they do decide to attack with it. But we will block Oathsworn Knight with Ginger Brute here, I think. Don't want to take 4, and it becomes a 3/3 afterwards. Alright, they're going to gain 4 up to 11. We're going to take 4 down to 10. And then do you have a follow-up play? They sure do. That's a pretty good one. Oh, they have a Hushbringer that stops their Charming Prince from doing anything, though. So we're at 10. We're going to attack with everything but the Guide Mother, and we're just going to chump with Guide Mother next turn. On probably the Resolute Rider. And we're gonna obviously create a white night creature. Alright, they found double white. They could have Ardenvale Tactician and get us here. They probably just want to give this lifelink an indestructible next turn. So they're going to be gaining 4, which negates 2 creatures, plus kills our Witchstalker. We should still be able to kill them. Yeah, we're not going to block. If we draw a 5th land, we should still be able to... Ooh, never mind. That's a good dude. That's a strong one. Let's create a 5/5 though with our Wandermare. And we can get in there with the Mare and the Guide Mother. They have to block. And I think we actually want to kill the Resolute Rider, because the lifelink and indestructible is pretty annoying later on. I'd rather kill that and just attack around the Sir Alan here. They have to attack with Oathsworn Knight. We don't have to block. We can just let that come in, and then we have more than 5 coming in next turn around the Sir Alan, so yeah, alright, we got him. Our opponent mulliganed to 5 though, and that game was somewhat close. They have a lot of uncommons and rares in their deck. Pretty strong deck from our opponent. It was nice for us that their Charming Prince didn't scry them any because of the Hushbringer they also had in play. Not that Hushbringer is a great rare in Limited, but kind of interesting that our opponent had so many rares. Generally, when you're drafting, you're not going to end up with a ton of rares in that color, but sometimes you do. We have, I think, 0 rares. Yeah, we're playing a 0 rare deck ourselves. We do have some good uncommons, though. And we did have the option of taking a rare in the 5-mana instant Wild Speaker card. Wild Speaker's Return. I think this is what it's called. But we ended up taking Wandermare over it. And so far, Wandermare has been great. Pretty happy with that decision. Although Overrun is also pretty good. It doesn't give Trample the return, but it does give +3/+2 to your team at instant speed, which is kind of good. Youthful Knight actually seems kind of decent against, they do have a decent amount of 2/2s. But still, it doesn't synergize well with the rest of our deck. They don't seem to actually have a lot of removal, just a lot of powerful creatures themselves. And we don't have any removal really to answer that. Yeah, I think we're just going to run it back again. And just hope to have a slightly better draw than our opponent. I think we're both just going to be throwing a bunch of aggressive beats back and forth at each other. Pretty interesting, because this format has, in my experience, been much more grindy than this match would lead you to believe. But we're both pretty aggressive decks, obviously. Alright. This hand is a keep. We're a little bit low on lands, but... Oh, that was a good draw, too. Get to start it off with a Brute. And hopefully draw some lands for the rest of the game. That was a good draw, obviously. I'll trade if you'd like. Yeah, I'm down. That's fine. Oh, they missed their third land drop. This is big time for us. So, I think I'm going to play Lonesome Unicorn, because I really don't want them to kill our Wandermare. Next turn we can play Wandermare and Fairy Guidemother, and get it up to a 4/4 so the Cauldron doesn't kill it. So right here we're just going to play a 2/2, even though it's obviously worse than playing a 3/3 if they miss their land drop. They make their land drop. That's a problem, but here we can just make a 4/4. Also, alternatively, you could just play a Witch Stalker. But I like being able to attack with Garen Brig here as well. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to play the Wandermare. Ooh, we can't because we don't have double white. Never mind. We're just going to play the Witch Stalker and pass. Hopefully we draw our white source here. Yeah, there we go. Opponent just passes the turn. Just going to attack with Witch Stalker first to see what they do. They probably won't do anything. They'll just take 5. Or take 4, I mean. Oh, Murderous Rider. Never mind. They've got stuff. Wow, they have so many rares in their deck. They're literally mono rare white-black over there. Jeez. I don't know how many rares that is, but that is a lot. You don't normally see a deck with like 5 rares in it. And I think they had at least 5. That's pretty sick. Yeah, I guess we'll play Wandermare and just cast Giant Killer here. Oops. They found their 4th land, so they're nothing but gas over there now. Nothing but gas. I might end up regretting not waiting for Chop Down to work, because they do have a decent amount of 4-power creatures in their deck that we do want to kill. The 2 uncommons that we saw last game. So that could be problematic. Yeah, they're just going to go right ahead and kill our Giant Killer. They're attacking with their Contender? I was going to say, that's a little weird. Believe we just want to do this and attack. They may just have to trade with the Squire here, which is great for us. No, there's not. Alright. That's very good. Next turn we can give this flying and then also play this. Attack for a lot. That's going to be a ton of damage. Ooh, Lucky Clover. That's pretty sick. I guess we should just do this then. I think we're just swinging out here. We didn't have to do that before combat. Obviously, they're going to bake into a pie. That's why we didn't go for the other play here. They're going to block a 2/2, take 5. And then we're going to kill them with Fairy Guide Mother next turn. We're going to give 2 creatures flying. And +2/+1. Could even be this one. Yep. So Fairy Guide Mother won us the game. We were able to close out through our opponent's 5 rares black-white deck. Fairy Guide Mother. Pretty good with Lucky Clover, obviously. Alright, so that was round 2. Let's jump into round 3. All right, welcome to round 3 here. We're 2-0 in this draft so far with White-Green Adventures. We have the combo of Flutterfox, Rosethorn, Halberd here, so we're going to keep this. They need the early removal to stop our 4/3 flyer ASAP. Otherwise, we're just going to run away with it. And looks like we're playing a blue deck, so they might have some bounce, which does hurt this play a bit. But we'll see if we end up wanting to do that or not. We could also just play the 2/2 and keep attacking for 2 on the ground. Another option here is Garenbrig Squire. I think I'm going to lead with Flutterfox, though, and see how this works out for us. Green, blue. Yeah, I'm going to go for it. Gonna get in there. This is it's sort of cheesy, you could say, but is a very effective plan of beating your opponent. It says, do you have a removal spell? And if not, you lose. And they did have the removal spell, so they didn't lose. But let's see. Here we definitely want to cast this, I'm pretty sure. I want to be more mana efficient than casting another Squire. Sir Farron. Interesting. Just get in there. They're going to trade with that. That's fine. Play another one of those. Yeah, white-green aggro. We're just beaten down. They're playing a 5/5. That's fine. So we could tap this, and then we get in for 6. I guess that actually makes sense. And if they can't gain life next turn, they're super dead. Also, just the Ginger Brutes getting in for the next couple turns kills them. Tome We got it. They need to find some way to make food or something along those lines. Otherwise, the Ginger Brutes will just close the game out here. And they certainly can't attack us. I don't know why it's tapping my only white source there, but it doesn't actually matter. Yeah, 2 attackers. So next turn, if we draw land, we can put the Rosethorn Halberd on Ginger Brute and give it can't be blocked except for by creature with haste, and just win the game. If they find Treats to Share here, which is the Curious Pair story card, adventure card, we might not win. Oh, here we go. That's a pretty good one. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and give something flying, I guess. This guy. Oh, this already. They scooped to that? Interesting. They had a flying blocker. I actually probably should have given flying to Ginger Brute. Yeah, I should have given flying to Ginger Brute and given it haste. Or given it can't be blocked except for by creatures with haste. So alright, we're up a game here in round 3. Again, it's green, blue, dirtily. They're just like green, blue, dirtle stuff. It looks like Return to Nature is pretty good. They're playing Charm Sleep. They're playing Witching Well, stuff like that we already saw. So I think Return to Nature is going to be pretty solid, and they're probably playing a decent amount of bounce. So Rosethorn Halberd might not be quite as good. I think that might be our move again. Just like it was last time. Giant Killer is going to shine here against these giant green creatures. And yeah, I'm feeling like our green-white deck is pretty good. It's got an aggressive curve. It can finish the game off with Ginger Brutes. It's nice to have a decent amount of evasion in your green-white deck with our Flyers and our Ginger Brutes. Plus a healthy dose of early aggro through our Garenberg Squires that are often attacking for 3, and the rest of our just undercosted beaters, slightly undercosted just because of their adventure synergies. So far, we've also had some very good hands. We haven't had to mulligan at all. Shouldn't have said that. Definitely can't keep this one. It's a good hand if we had some lands. Yeah, that's a great hand. Actually, the second forest is not that good, and we're on the draw. And I do like all of our other cards very much, so I'm just gonna bottom that other forest and draw another forest anyway. Yeah, Ginger Brute and Flutterfox is pretty great curve. Really not mad at it. It's going to deal a lot of damage. It's very hard to beat 2 evasive threats on the first 2 turns of the game. Ooh, baby. That's a problem. We're going to have to swift end that as soon as we can. But for now, we're just going to play Flutterfox, and next turn we can swift end their big boy. Whoa. That's a 2-mana 5/4. They have 2-mana 5/4s now. Whoa. Well, if they go down lower than 4 cards in hand, then these can no longer block. So that's kind of good for us.
Ew.
Hey.
How you doing?
Pretty good. Just recording some YouTube stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, here we definitely want to giant kill one of them. I'm pretty sure. It's unfortunate that they have 2. We could play a Ginger Brute and attack for 2. I don't really like that move. I think we're just gonna not giant kill, but chop down is the term here. The adventure card. It might be prudent to actually do it on our own turn. That way, they won't have a counter spell. Yeah, and I think I will, in fact, do that. I don't know, this is a copy, but I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters which one. We also brought in the Nature's End, which we can use to kill this gargoyle as well. But it is problematic that our opponent had a turn 2 5/4. Alright, I like the noises that the wheel makes. They only have 3 cards in their hand. They cannot block with this anymore. Alright, so we kind of got there. I believe we want to play this. No, probably this. And attack for 3. Fell the pheasant, sure. It's pretty good. Alright, so if we have 7 cards, they can start attacking. We have 3 right now. That's a big boy. And we're missing on our land drops here. So this is pretty problematic. We did not get off to a good start. Through every turn of the game, they've played a 5 power creature with at least 4 toughness. Except for last turn. So it's pretty good. Not sure what to do about it. I think here we'll just play Ginger Brute. Play Giant Killer. And give this one, can't be blocked except for with things with haste, and get in there. We're not in a good spot though. Ooh, Archon of Absolution would have been pretty cool. I mean, we can't cast it. We need lands here, so I'm kind of glad they milled a non-land. They're just going to go right ahead and hit us. Wow, we're just not drawing lands this game, but I'm glad they milled that and not a land. Alright. They must have another play here. A 1/5. Yeah, that's pretty good. Found a land. Solid. What I'd like to do is probably tap all 3 of their creatures. Or just give this thing flying. Give these two things protection. We have 5 cards in the yard right now. Yeah, I think we need to be aggressive here. Or, I mean, we could just tap something with Giant Killer. Maybe that's better. Yeah, I guess we'll just tap something with Giant Killer. Or even with Tactician. I might want to save that for later in the game, but as the game goes on, we're definitely going to be in worse and worse position, as our opponent's deck definitely seems better equipped here to grind it out into the mid and late game. The 2 Ginger Brutes can just keep dealing 2 damage as long as we have mana to spend on that. Just currently, it doesn't make a ton of sense to spend mana on that. It'll land. We have 6 cards in our graveyard now. Almost can attack with this. Can't block with it though. Interesting card. Interesting design on this. I like it. It's obviously very powerful. In the early game, it's going to block as a 5/4, and it's 2 mana. And then in the late game, it becomes something that can't block, but can attack for 5, which is pretty powerful. Charm Sleep plus Mega Food. Ooh, they have 2 foods here. How did they get the other food? Oh, Felled the Pheasant, right. Alright, so opponent with a very good draw this game. And we're kind of in for it. I believe we want to do this and then maybe tap their 2 creatures with the Ardenvale Tactician, but maybe not. Maybe just give haste to our 2 guys. Or give can't be blocked except for by haste. And maybe cast a Fairy Guide Mother. Yeah, actually that's kind of good. Gets in there. Alright. Yeah. I don't think it's a huge difference whether we just like give Ginger Brute unblockable or we play the Guide Mother there. I think it's pretty close. Obviously they're going to play Curious Pair. We're going to take this 5 down to 10. We can't block even if we wanted to. That's problematic that they have a 2-turn clock on us. And a bunch of blockers. Alright. So how can we beat the 2 foods? This does give us a blocker. We also can use this to make a blocker. I believe what we have to do right now is give unblockable to these 2 things. Swing. Oh, cancel. Swing with these. Get in for 3. And then tap their Paladin and Gargoyle next turn. But the fact that they have the 6 life just chilling probably means we can't win this game, unfortunately. Our best draw is just like more land, probably. We got a little bit, we were a little tight on land this game. And our opponent had a cool play of Vantress Gargoyle into Mirror Maid, copying their Vantress Gargoyle on turns 2 and 3. They are attacking with Rose Horn Acolyte. Not blocking that. Yeah, land is a pretty good draw. We're at 8. We can't block this. They're at 9. Feel like we should play Tactician. Yeah, I feel like we should play Tactician. It's either that or Lonesome Unicorn can just block the Garenbrig Paladin, but then we take 5 from the Gargoyle. If we play Tactician, make these 2 unblockable, get in. Yeah, they just have 2 foods. I don't think we're gonna win. I don't think we have a line that can get us out of this, but yeah, this is probably not going to work in our favor. How do we win this game? What could we even draw? I mean, we already found like probably our best card in Giant Killer and our second best card in Ardenvale Tactician. We could draw the Disenchant. So if we draw the Disenchant, we can kill their Spinning Wheel, but they're going to gain 6. I'm just going to go to game 3 here. We could spend a ton of time trying to like min-max our decisions here, or we could just go into the next game. I think there's a very, very low chance that we can somehow win that game, and we'd have to draw very, very well, and our opponent would have to play very poorly, I think. And I'm not really interested in trying to make that work. True Love's Kiss seems good. We're gonna need that because they have Vantress Gargoyle and the Spinning Wheel, so we're gonna play both our Disenchants, and we're gonna cut maybe a Lonesome Unicorn, maybe maybe a Lonesome Unicorn. Seems pretty good. It's not a great card. It's just pretty good in our deck because we have a lot of ways to use its ability or use the adventure to get paid. But it's definitely not a great card on rate either side. So not too unhappy to board one out here. So we've got game 3 against a blue-green Vantress Gargoyle. Wow, that was pretty sick from our opponent. I gotta say, a Vantress Gargoyle into a Mirror Maid. Our opponents have had a lot of rares against us in these games so far today. Gonna play first for sure. Gonna keep this hand for sure. Do not want to just play a Giant Killer right now. It's too good. Oh. Revoke Secret Keeper. They're definitely not a dedicated mill deck. So I'm not that worried about the Secret Keeper there. The 0-4 body is going to be problematic though. Just them having an 0-4. Oh, they're not going for it though. I kind of want to just play Fairy Guide Mother to be able to attack for 3 right now. And play another Squire. think that's what I'm going to do. I mean, we could also just give it flying and then play it. Yeah, I guess using 2 spells for 1 here is better. Getting in for 5. Rather than playing a 2/2 that doesn't really do much. They are not an aggro deck. I'm not that worried about them dealing 2 to us this turn. Or dealing 3, I guess, with the... Oh, dealing 3 because they have a 2/3. 2/3 is good here. A little bit worried about it. But we can make our... So, interestingly, I do kind of want to attack for 4 here and just play Giant Killer. Maybe that's the move. We just like make a 2/2, play Giant Killer, attack for 3, 4. That might be the move. But playing this is also pretty good. And we're just not doing anything with the other 2 mana. It's just Giant Killer's ability is so good that I don't really want to do that. Yeah, I'm just going to attack for 1. And play a 2/2 here. If we find a lucky clover later, that's better. But next turn we could potentially Squire and cast Chop Down. Yeah, let's just be more mana efficient here again. It was close though that turn. All our moves were pretty good. I hope they play a big thing that is an enchantment. Yeah, they're gonna cast that. Again, I don't really care if they're attacking me with a 3/3. We're definitely the aggro deck here. Ooh, 4/4 or 1/5. That's not ideal for us. Yeah, no blocks. Alright, so we don't have a good clock going. And hopefully we can kill something they do here that's big. I'm hoping they play something big this turn so I can use Chop Down. This is going to be a long one, and I don't really feel favored in the long games. Our opponent was able to pretty well gum up our aggro start. And we had some awkward decisions. Whoa. Interesting. I'm not going to block at all here. Just go to 9. And they're not going to do anything. Really? They think they can win this? Oh, I guess they probably have a counterspell. They probably have a counterspell. Well, this is on cast. Our dudes get bigger, so... Should have probably blocked Mistford River Turtle last turn, actually. I totally missed that. It's a 1/5. We should definitely have blocked it. We should be at 10, which hopefully that 1 point doesn't come back to bite us. Yeah, I assumed they had some sort of bounce spell or like just something to do this turn that made them feel like they could make that attack. Ooh. Ooh. That's dirty. That's dirty right there. Little Mystic Sanctuary. Getting back turned into a pumpkin. That's very bad for us. It's very, very bad for us. No plays from our opponent. This is interesting. Huh. Is this an instant? Yeah, it is. I wouldn't have tapped like that, but I'll take it. This guy has vigilance, so it's like kind of okay to attack with, but they have an 0-4, so never mind. And a 1-5, yeah, there's no reason to attack with Lonesome Unicorn. But they are at 7. I mean, they can gain 3 life whenever they want here. They have turned into a pumpkin on the top of their deck. That resolves. We know about the turn. What else do you have here? I think, like, we're not in a losing position. We're not really in a winning position either. The turn into a pumpkin is a lot of value with bounce draw. But I think we can leverage our hand to beat what they're doing. So I think this is a really interesting game that could potentially go our way. Yeah? Alright, so they probably want to cast the turn now. But we'll make them cast turn into a pumpkin right now, which I think is better for us anyway. And they want to return a Lonesome Unicorn, which is just gives us more value if we block like this. So I like this block. Yeah, I really like this whole situation here, because now we just get more value off Lonesome Unicorn. We're only taking 2. We can kind of deal with that. We're going to 7. We should be going to 8, because we definitely misblocked earlier and didn't block Mr. River Turtle. But, yeah, mostly them getting another food there off the turn of the pumpkin is going to be problematic. So, a little worried about this. What? Hopefully this doesn't tap us too wrong here. Alright, I'm a little worried about our 7 life here. We need them to do something different than just like making food and bouncing our creatures and attacking for 2, because they are winning that race. We need them to tap out here, try and do something powerful. No, it doesn't look like they want to. Well, at least we get to triple block the turtle. And if they have another bounce spell, we're in some trouble here. If they have basically anything, we're in trouble here. We're going to 3. But they're a green-blue deck. They don't have a ton of reach. They're casting something for 4 green. Oh no, it's once in a whatever. Oh wow, they're just gonna grind us out. Oh yeah, we're definitely not gonna win this game. Ooh, jeez. Yeah, that's too much value. We really needed them to do something that was True Love's kissable or giant killable, chop downable. So what happened in this game was our opponent drew none of the half of their deck that is bad against True Love's Kiss and Giant Killer, and they drew all of the half of their deck that just grinds, and we couldn't beat their grind here. That is really unfortunate. They're just like playing around Giant Killer inadvertently here. Alright, that's pretty good. Can we deal 11 to them? They recast Turtle. We have... hold on. So we can tap their 2 dudes. So that means 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Is it really just 10? Are we 1 off here? No, we have them. Oh, wow. Okay, so we can tap their 2 dudes, cast Ardenvale Tactician. We have 9 mana. That's 1, 2, 5, 6. Or no, we don't have 9. We have 7. Yeah, we can do this. We just have to make sure that this taps correctly, and we have it. Yes, Garenberg Squire. And I was just saying that we didn't have it. And we're going to cast this for exactly those mana. That works. Trigger. And then trigger. And then swing for more than 11. Ooh, that was a match right there. Ardenvale Tactician just snuck us that game out of nowhere. Yeah, I was just saying they drew the half of their deck that was very good against us, and then we drew Ardenvale Tactician just to win the game on the spot. Definitely do your math. I wasn't sure that we had it because I was like, 3, 6, 7. Nope. We had 12. They go to -1, and we get that match. Kind of stole that one, honestly. We were very far behind, and Ardenvale Tactician will do that. If you're familiar with Innistrad Draft, there's a card from back then called Feeling of Dread. Now that was not a card that seemed like an early pick, but later on in that format, or even early on for me, I realized that in my aggressive white decks, especially white-blue, like flyers, that kind of thing, Feeling of Dread could tap 4 creatures in 1 turn, and it just like became a total falter effect. Also stopped your opponent from attacking with their big thing, so you bought more time. Obviously, tapping creatures and that being the only thing a card does is not that insane, but it is also pretty powerful in the right moment. Insane. I don't really want to use that as a adjective to describe something powerful, so I'm going to try and not do that. I apologize. It was a poor use of that term. I'm going to get into round 4 here. We're at 3-0. All right, hello and welcome to round 4. We are 3-0 in this league. Feeling really good about our deck. It's aggressive. It has ways to close the game out. Not a ton of removal, but it just is a bunch of dudes. It's just green-white, a bunch of dudes. And we're going to keep this hand. We have a good curve. Feeling pretty good about this situation here. Our opponent's mulliganing. And we're just going to play a forest past the turn. Let's see. Opponent's playing blue again. Giant Killer's a great draw. That is our only removal spell really in the deck, but it's a very good one. Opponent has something to do. It's so tiny, it must be their card. So they absolutely have a so tiny in their hand. There's nothing else they could have on 1 blue. It's unfortunate that playing Arena allows me to know that. I shouldn't know that my opponent has a so tiny there, but I do, because we're playing on Arena, and that's one of the downsides. We know that they have so tiny. They definitely have Queen of Ice. Looks like they might be a mono blue. Oh no, they're black blue, so full on control. Tome Raider is the play for them. Alright. They don't mind taking a bunch of damage this turn, it seems. So I'm going to save the Giant Killer for a bit and just play Archon of Absolution. Just commit more things to our board. Feels really good here. The protection from white on our 4-mana 3/2 flyer is not going to do anything, but the you can't get attacked unless they pay 1 is not for nothing. Sometimes your opponent needs to do things, and really, Eye Collector. I haven't seen this do much. It's not a card I have started at all, and don't necessarily think it's very good, but it certainly has text. I could see decks where I would want this effect. I just haven't picked it at all highly. It's definitely a card I would pick last in a pack. So we have some options here. We can just make a 2/2 and then play Giant Killer, since it looks unlikely that they'll play a creature with 4 or more power. Playing Giant Killer is going to pump both of these creatures and make them very good on this board. I don't mind trading Archon for those 2 creatures, and I think that's going to be the move. I think we're just going to play Giant Killer as a 1/1 here. And then to follow up that, we could also just play Ardenvale Tactician as a 2/3. But that's just such a powerful play later in the game that I'm going to save it, since we have something else to do with our mana this turn anyway. And I do feel like we're very far ahead at this point in the game. I don't think it would be wrong to play the Tactician. I just think I want to save this like double removal turn for a way to end the game that our opponent isn't gonna be considering. Because now, like, they really have to deal with the Wandermare. They didn't even block with Queen of Ice, which is probably going to end up hurting them in the long run here. Yeah, I assume they're going to have a removal spell for Wandermare. No, they're just going to scoop. They're just going to go ahead and scoop. Yeah. Our draw was very good. And their draw was fairly medium, but it's funny that they didn't want to play their So Tiny there, since we know that they had a So Tiny. So Tiny is the -2/-0 flash enchantment aura that is -6/-0 when your opponent, your opponent has 7 cards in their graveyard. When your opponent has Threshold, if you remember the Odyssey block where they used Threshold, 7 cards in your graveyard. What do we want to do different against blue-black? They showed us not much. We do have to assume that they're playing some amount of artifacts and enchantments in their blue-black deck, but we didn't see any. So I'm not super interested in boarding anything in. We actually have not played against a single green deck yet, so we haven't boarded in Occam Adversary at all, even though it's arguably one of our better cards in our draft pool, which is kind of interesting. Let's see. Silverflame Squire might be better than Beanstalk Giant in our deck. Also pretty good against Queen of Ice. Yeah, I think we want Silverflame Squire, and Beanstalk Giant is fine, but not necessary on the draw. It's just like kind of a big dumb dude, and they have like bounce and tap. So I kind of want to lower our curve a little bit and have an untap effect. Especially if we have a Lucky Clover in play and we can untap two things that are maybe trapped under the Queen of Ice ability. That could be pretty awesome. We also just want to have a 2-drop, and that's another 2-drop we can cast. All right, welcome to game 2 of round 4. We're gonna keep. We do have a way to filter mana and make our white card plays, and we have a 2-drop that's pretty strong. So we're gonna keep this hand. Alright, they hit 2 lands and our Lucky Clover. Kind of a bummer, but we did end up finding a Plains anyway. Now, they are playing 1/1 flyers, so I definitely don't think Guide Mother is worth just putting into play. So we're not going to do it. Oops. Them just having an 0/4 here is not great for us. We're going to have to try to attack around it. But I think we can do that fairly reasonably as the game goes on, depending on what else they can do. No plays for our opponent. Since there were no plays from our opponent, triple blue up. Yeah, I guess Runaway together is too much of a beating. So we're just going to play the Rosethorn Acolyte. Full retail. Didn't say please, alright. Looks like they might try and mill us out here. Looking like mono blue this time. See if this resolves. You have another counterspell here. They sure do. Alright, they've milled a lot of cards. We're down to 19. I'm tempted to just play Fairy Guide Mother as a way to start getting damage in, but it doesn't seem very good. Yeah, this is a rough situation. Merfolk Secret Keeper into double counterspell, stopping all of our ways of creating an army here. So we're just chilling with this 2/2 in play. And then they're going to ice it. Alright. Fox is good. Right now we don't have an artifact to go with Fox, but I think we want to play the Fox. And I think we're going to untap our dude right now. Whoa. Triple didn't say please. We got 12 cards left in our deck. Now 15. Wow. Impressive. Impressive opponent. Impressive. triple. We still have 15 cards in our deck. Things are not dire yet. Tomb Raider is annoying because it blocks our Fairy Guide Mother. They chose not to cast their Queen of Ice. Wow. Just gonna try and cast this 2-1. That's gonna resolve. They're probably just chumping here. I don't know why they didn't cast their Queen of Ice. It does feel kind of like a waste for us to have kind of cashed in the Guide Mother there. But, oof. Another one of those. I don't know why they're not casting their Queen of Ice. Maybe they really do have another Didn't Say Please. Another mill effect. Yeah, they're just full on blue mill. I didn't realize that in game 1. They didn't feel like a blue mill deck. But I guess we didn't see many of their cards in game 1. And they're probably playing black for a couple removal spells. Frogify, okay. Yeah, we're in some trouble here for sure. Things are not looking good. Really confused as to why they didn't cast Queen of Ice ever at this point, but so 11 cards left in our deck. We do have some time, but we don't have much as far as power cards even left in our deck. We have Wandermare, which could get the job done. We draw it soon. More Fairy Guide Mothers are good, but not great. So we can like pump this and then cast Fairy Guide Mother. Isn't quite good enough. We just cast Unicorn and cast Fairy Guide Mother, and then we can attack with Squire. It's not that good either. I guess we can wait, but I think I want to put this into play. We could pump our other Fairy Guide Mother. I also don't really want to do that. Yeah, I guess we'll pump that. And again, they're just going to chump it with a Tomb Raider. But I don't know, this does put a clock on them with the Guide Mothers. And we do have enough time to finish this out. They're going to 15 here, and we're attacking for 2 a turn. We have 10 cards in our deck. So as long as they don't mill us anymore, which I can't imagine they have that much more mill in their deck. Frogify on that, sure. Taking 2 a turn here. They obviously can't attack. Or at least I don't think they should attack. So we're going to 13. We have 9 cards left in our deck. Things seem fine. Giant Killer. That's a good card. I'm not gonna cast it. Do I cast it? If I cast it, then I can start tapping their Secret Keeper and attacking with our Unicorn. That is kind of good. But if they play a creature that's 4 or more power, then we're in trouble. I just don't think they're probably playing very many creatures with 4 or more power, maybe none. So I guess I am just going to cast it. And hopefully not get blindsided here by a 5 power something, like maybe the Reaper of the Night. Ooh, another mill spell. That's not good. We have 4 cards left in our deck. And they have another 0-4. Huh. So we can tap Queen of Ice. 4 cards left in our deck. 3 once we draw a card. Yeah, that was a really good top deck from our opponent. They do have more mill. Triple Didn't Say Please, double Secret Keeper, and Overwhelmed Apprentice. That's a lot of mill. And we weren't able to close the game out fast enough, it seems. Oh, that's a good draw. Alright, that'll help. So we also want to tap their Queen of Ice. And then just swing out. And hopefully we can do it in 3 turns. We only have 3 turns. But I think we can. Potentially. Yeah, they're down to 5. And we should be able to do it. Oh my god, really? Oh, they have 3 more Folk Secret Keepers and they found their next one. Wow. Alright. Sometimes your opponent top decks the answer. 3 Secret Keepers, 3 Didn't Say Please. This is going to be tough. Opponent's full on mill. Didn't see any black cards, but they have black in their deck. Don't know what it's for. They are full on mill. Maybe we should just play more cards in our deck. And definitely Silver Flame Ritual. I guess Prophet of the Peak is pretty good. But Jousting Mummy, Knight of the Keep, Youthful Knight, True Love's Kiss, Turn to Nature, Oakham Adversary, Beanstalk Giant, Golden Egg. I think we just play all of those cards and then we just play some more lands. None of those cards are like bad in our deck. They're all fine. So if we play... we have 17 lands right now and 51 cards. That means we're playing 4 plus 30, 34 cards. 34 cards means we want like 2, 3, 1, 2. That's too many, I think. Maybe like 21 lands and 55 cards. It doesn't look like they can beat us through not milling us out. So I think we just put in a bunch of medium stuff and try to win like that. We could also play Giant Opportunity and Wolf's Quarry, but those cards are pretty bad. So we put in all the cards that are like playable. And 21 lands, maybe 22 lands. Whoa, hey, what just happened? What? I didn't hit submit. No way. I still had time on the clock. I still had time on the clock. Oh, come on. Really? There was still like 5 seconds left. Why did the rope just end when there was still... That's a tilt. That's a tilt. I still had like 5 seconds left, it looked like. How can they do that when the rope is still going down? They just tell me, okay, it's over now. Plains, please. We milled another forest, which is kind of good. Definitely should have been playing 55 cards in our deck. That's pretty rough. Plains is good, though. Oh, man. So the upside to still playing 40 cards is that our deck is better. The downside is that their only win count is mill, I think. Oh, jeez. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, they had 2. So next turn we could potentially Fairy Godmother twice and Garenbrig Carver twice and attack for like 100. Which seems pretty good. But they do have Didn't Say Please up. So I think we want to run this into Didn't Say Please. Yeah. Resolves. Hit our Giant Killer. And our Tactician? Damn. Alright, so Fairy Godmother twice means we're attacking for a lot there. You can also just Ginger Brute. I think it's better to Fairy Godmother twice here. A bit upset that I wasn't able to submit my 55 card deck because I was definitely hemming and hawing over the 23rd land or the 22nd land or the 23rd land potentially being good. Probably should have played 22 lands and played 56 cards. I think that would have probably been correct. Oh man, looks like we're gonna lose here. Yeah, this is very bad. This is very bad. Alright, we have double Fairy Godmother for this guy now. I guess Carver's better though. They can't block him anyway. They're at 8. We have an unblockable dude. Frogify the Wandermare? Interesting choice. Interesting choice. That's strange to me. I guess while they don't have Didn't Say Please up, obviously if they have Run Away Together up, this is bad for us. This is... Oh, that was instant speed, so maybe we should have saved that one and just done this one last turn since they were tapped out. Yeah, that was a punt. I should have probably done that differently. They didn't want to cast Merfolk Secret Keeper, so they must have something up here. I think we're just going to attack with Ginger Brute. They must have something they're doing. If they didn't want to cast Secret Keeper. So tiny. That's annoying. That guy is dead. Yeah, this is bad. We're at 15 cards already. Yeah, pretty bummed that we weren't able to play our 55 card deck. The only way they can kill us is milling us out, and if we just play more cards in our deck, and we had enough to do that. Yeah, I'm pretty upset about the arena client just not working for us there. Yeah, it's pretty bad. 4/4 trample is pretty good on this board though. Plus we can give it flying twice. Yeah, this is a pretty good draw. I'm into it. I mean, give it flying, and it's already trample. So hopefully they don't have any answer to the 4/4. Yeah, I am very bummed that we weren't able to play the 55 card deck. I still had rope up on the thing. I don't know why it just said, okay, now you have to play. Like, there was still time on the clock and rope on the thing, and it just put me into the match without having sideboarded. Pretty miffed. Pretty miffed. Alright, they have mana up for Didn't Say Please now, so we're just gonna attack with these two. And we're gonna feed this into the Didn't Say Please, I think. Just as a bait. Hypnotic Sprite. Yeah, that works. $13 cards in our deck. What is your black card? We haven't seen any black cards out of our opponent yet. I wonder what they're playing. I guess Lockmere Serpent or something. Yeah, they're just gonna take it easy here. They might have Bacon to a Pie. Bacon to a Pie pretty much kills us here. Did they hit our Tree Folk already? No. Gonna block there? Okay. I'm into that. Do you want to cast Didn't Say Please? Or what do you want to do? Festive Funeral. Yeah. That's pretty good. That's their black card, I guess. We're not in the worst shape, though, because we can just swing with all three of these. And then eventually, when they don't have any more flyers... Oh, man. They never run out of flyers, though. Okay, and we no longer have any trample creatures in our deck, so... This is gonna be tough. Yeah. It's gonna be very tough. Oh, man. Yeah. We're gonna lose. That's really unfortunate, because I don't think we should have lost this match. I think we probably win if we actually board correctly there. And I'm pretty upset about it. Arena, why do you still show a rope when I don't actually have any more time? I still had plenty of rope left, and it just put me into a match, so I'm a little miffed. Did not know that was a thing. Apparently cannot draw any more planes. We have 7 cards left in our deck. Yeah. Yeah, our opponent has no other win con other than milling us out. Alright, this gets rid of their flyers. Ish. But they do have another flyer in hand that they're probably going to cast. And another 0-4. So it's fairly unlikely that we get out of this, unfortunately. With Fairy Guidemother, we're like in decent shape if we can get rid of all their flyers. But they just keep drawing more. And they also have 2 more Didn't Say Pleases in their deck. At least 2. We're not really sure how many. 2 Unveiled Tree Folk. Ooh. That can pump up our Ginger Brute back to something that does something here. But putting 2 counters on each of these is also really good. They do have Didn't Say Please up. That would be a bummer because this card is very, very good right here. They do have 3 mana up and didn't cast this. They must have it, unfortunately. Ugh. Wait, so if we try to do this and they counter it, then we can just give our dude flying and win, right? Yeah, so I think this is the move. I think we're actually going to get there. Alright, so we're going to try to do this. Try to put the counters here. So they're going to Didn't Say Please. Probably. Hi, Roo. And if they do, they lose to our Fairy Godmother. Yeah. This worked out really well. We'll do this one. Get him. Is that it? What's your last card? I don't think there's a double black card that does anything here. Yes. I'm so happy to get that game. Lucky Clover's good. But yeah, I mean, that was a good top deck. I was worried about it because they had the Didn't Say Please, but we baited the Didn't Say Please with the 2 Unveiled Tree Folk that they had to really counter. They just had to. And we ended up getting there with the Fairy Godmother. That was a sweet match. I was really upset that Arena didn't let me do my thing there, but we're 4-0. Whew, that was a sweet match. All right, hello and welcome to round 5. We are 4-0 with our green-white adventures deck. We got a little lucky at the end of game 3 against our mill opponent in the last round, where we drew just the right card to bait our opponent's counterspell and kill them with our other spell. We're definitely keeping this hand. We have Lucky Clover, which, as we saw in the last match, is very powerful. We have 3 payoffs for our adventure creatures and then 2 adventure creatures. So everything's going right with this hand. We do need some lands, though, and there's one. I think we're just going to play Lucky Clover into Lonesome Unicorn here. Although that stops that pretty well. Lucky Clover into Lonesome Unicorn is not great in the face of Youthful Knight. But at least they can't attack with it. Alright, our opponent's a Black-White Knights deck. These decks can be pretty powerful. We played against one earlier that had about 5 rares in it, which was pretty tough. It's a lot of rares. Yeah, that 2/1 first strike is very good against our deck, it turns out. I think what we want to do here is actually just play the 3/3. I mean, just getting so much value here is so good, but a 3/3 is much better on this board. It just demands an answer from them. Oathsworn Knight. Alright. Now we want to make some 2/2s to chump that for a while. Another forest, huh? Alright, so yeah, I think we just do this. Twice. Our opponent in round 2 also had Oathsworn Knight and Black-White Knights deck. They also had the 3-mana rare knight, the white one that searches for another knight if they have a knight in play. They also had Hushbringer and Charming Prince. It was a pretty sweet deck. These knights were basically free and not very good against the Youthful Knight, so I think we're just going to take this down to a 3/3 here. It has to attack every turn, so it's not that great once it's a 2/2. And they have a pretty mopey knight there in the form of Knight of the Keep. Just going to cast this here as another 3/3, which is just a good body on this board and making a 4/4. So we're just building up our board to a position where, I mean, their Oathsworn Knight has to attack into our 4/4. Not a great sitch for them. Oh, they're just going to come in. Alright. I'm going to make the blocks that make sense here. And they just don't have any kind of effects. They're just going to attack like that. Interesting. It's an interesting attack. Seems like a desperation attack from our opponent. I was pretty sure they'd have some sort of trick, but we just made the blocks that made sense. Oh, they wanted to bring things back from the graveyard. Okay, fair enough. That's why they wanted to swing out there. Plains is a good draw. I believe we want to Archon here. Yeah, Archon and Garenbrig is probably the play. Youthful Knight is back. They're at 13. Wait, you can not attack with this? It says attacks each combat if able. Wait, how did they get away with not attacking with Oathsworn Knight there? Hold up. How did that happen? They played a Youthful Knight and then passed the turn without attacking with Oathsworn Knight. Oathsworn Knight says attacks each turn if able. That's another thing I want to talk to Arena about. So there was still bar. I'm going to have to watch back my last round to see what really happened there. Maybe I just did really run out of time, but it didn't seem like I did. So our opponent is playing just Black-White Knights. Not a worse build than we played against earlier. So not that worried about it. Untap and block could be good. Maybe better than the big dumb dude. Let's try that. Big dumb dude might not need it. Again, not a matchup where we're gonna bring in O-Game Adversary. Kind of funny, we never played against a green deck in all 5 rounds so far. So game 2, we're up a game here against Black-White Knights. We have Lucky Clover on turn 2 again. That's silly. This card is not fair. We can ramp with Rosethorn. Yeah, again, there's no world in which we're not playing Lucky Clover on 2 if we have it. We could have played Garenbrig and then Rosethorn, which would be fine, I guess. We can ramp here. Wintermoor Commander, that's pretty good. I guess just playing Rosethorn is pretty good here, and then we can double pump it next turn. They don't seem to have a lot of removal. Also, we could just do this. I just want to make 2 2/2s, I think. So next turn we have 5 mana if we want it, so we can Rosethorn times 2 with the seasonal ritual, and then also play Rosethorn and Garenbrig Squire. Maybe we just trade off for the commander. Wait, they give this indestructible, right? Yeah, I think we have to double trade for the commander, which is fine here. Alright, so we're gonna do the seasonal ritual of this times 2. We're gonna make green. And then we're gonna make green. Then we're gonna cast this. And cast this. Kinda cool, we just got to ramp with our Rosethorn Acolyte. Happy to trade off here. Reaper of the Night. Yeah. And we just discarded a 4 mana 4/4, so you know we have something good in our hand. I guess they could have more discard, and I'd want to get this Toonvale Treefolk into play here. So we're just gonna put 2 counters here, and I think then put 2 counters here. Maybe just put them all here. Yeah, we'll just spread it out. I think a 4/4 and a 4/5 seems pretty good. If they double block, they can kill any of these things, but we kill both of their things either way. Yeah, I'm down. I guess they could have outflank, and that'd be not great for us. They just took it. Just passing the turn here. I'll play a 6/5 and continue to attack. Alright. Opponent with 4 cards in hand. Didn't do anything last turn. It's pretty unfortunate for them. Fairy Guide Mother. Can you deal? I guess I could have Ardenvale Tactician. And we could be dead next turn. Oh no, they're just going to scoop. I might have played around Ardenvale Tactician there. But they just scooped. And yeah, I mean, we could have swung out. And I mean, I guess we could go to combat. And then if they don't tap our creatures, we kill them. And if they do, we have to play around it. So yeah, I guess we just had it because they didn't have it. But that's a 5-0 here with Green-White Adventures. Pretty happy with that. We got a Depose Deploy. Our deck was pretty sweet. This is the deck. Our main deck, we had Lucky Clover. Lucky Clover was maybe the best card in our deck. No rares. Beanstalk Giant was maybe the worst card in our deck, even though it's obviously not a bad card, especially with Lucky Clover. We can ramp a couple times and then start to double spell for the rest of the game. But we had an aggressive way to start out the game every game, basically with our solid curve of 1-drops and 2-drops into our 3s and 4s and 5s that all were pretty much adventure cards that gave us a lot of reach into the late game and just a lot of virtual card advantage. Even though it wasn't actual card advantage, we have no way of drawing extra cards in the deck, but we did have a lot of virtual card advantage. First off with Lucky Clover, that's just card advantage, just actual card advantage really. And then the fact that a lot of our creatures were adventure cards gave us even more card advantage. So even though it seems like a pretty mopey aggro deck, we were able to take the 5-0 down like fairly easily with no rares. So this is something that goes to show you do not need rares. You do not need bomb rares to win in draft. That's why draft is a very different thing than sealed. I think anytime you're playing sealed, you're going to do pretty well to have as many of your bomb rares as you can in your deck and as many of your removal spells as you can in your deck. But here, this is a testament to, in draft, drafting a synergistic deck is more important than that.